It was supposed to be just another awkward family dinner. I had spent all morning picking out a small bouquet of flowers, something cheerful that didn't scream obligation, and a simple cake from the only bakery in town that still made my mom's favorite lemon frosting. I told myself, like every other year, that maybe this time she'd smile when she saw me. Maybe this time she wouldn't look like my presence ruined her day. The house smelled of expensive perfume and roasted chicken when I arrived, but the atmosphere was ice cold. My sister sat at the table, perfectly dressed, my parents laughing at something she said like she was the only daughter they had. My mom didn't even glance up when I stepped in. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. Hi, Mom, I said softly, holding out the flowers. Happy birthday. She finally looked at me, her eyes scanning the bouquet like it was an insult. She didn't say thanks. Instead, she tilted her head, her lips curling in that cruel, practiced smile that had haunted me since childhood. You know what the best gift would be? She said loudly enough for everyone to hear. If you'd just leave my life, that would really make today perfect. The words slammed into me harder than any insult she'd thrown before. My sister snorted into her wine glass, muttering, "She's not wrong." My dad just smirked like it was a shared joke. The room went blurry, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. For a moment, I thought I might beg. Ask why? Ask what I'd done wrong. Ask what kind of mother could wish her child gone on her own birthday. But I didn't. I set the flowers on the table carefully, my hands shaking, and said quietly, "Got it. Don't worry. You'll get exactly what you want." My mom waved a dismissive hand, already turning back to my sister. Good. For once, you're useful. I walked out of that house without looking back, the sting of humiliation burning hotter with every step, and this time I didn't come back. Days turned to weeks, weeks into months. The phone never rang, not once, not to ask if I was okay, not to say they regretted what they'd said. It was like I'd never existed. The only person who texted was my sister once, just to send a picture of my old bedroom now repainted and redecorated, captioned, "Finally put to good use." I built a life far away, no family photos on my walls, no reminders of the people who made me feel like a guest in my own home. I stopped expecting an apology, stopped hoping they'd ever see me as more than an inconvenience they wished they could erase. My life was quiet, lonely at times, but it was free. Free from their words, free from being the punchline in my own family story. Until 3 years later, my phone buzzed with an unfamiliar number. I ignored it. Then an email followed, subject line, "Family reunion, we need you." The message wasn't an apology. It wasn't a "we miss you" or "we're sorry." It was a request dripping with desperation. "We're putting together a big family photo album for the upcoming anniversary celebration. We need everyone there, and your face is missing. It would be embarrassing to have a hole where you should be. Please don't make a scene. Just come for the photos. It's important to us." I read it 3 times, bile rising in my throat. 3 years of silence, 3 years of being the daughter they were thrilled to erase. And now I was needed. Not for love, not for family, but to fill a blank space in a photo, a prop for their perfect image. I sat there staring at the email, and for the first time since the night of my mom's birthday, I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't wonder why they hated me so much. I just felt something settle inside me, a clarity sharper than any blade. They wanted a face for their album? They wanted to parade the image of a family they'd never truly had? This time, I wasn't coming back as their afterthought. I wasn't coming back to smile politely and pretend I belonged. I was going to give them what they wanted and make sure they regretted asking for me ever again. The reunion was scheduled for a Saturday afternoon in early spring. The email said family only, but the venue they chose was a rented banquet hall dressed up to look like a picture-perfect dream, white tablecloths, gold-trimmed frames waiting for photos, banners reading, "Celebrating 30 years of family memories." The hypocrisy was almost laughable. I stood outside the hall for a long moment before going in, my reflection staring back from the glass door. My face, the one they hadn't wanted for years, the one my mother called the best gift to lose, was suddenly necessary to complete their image. I promised myself right then I wouldn't walk through those doors quietly. Inside, everything was staged. My mom stood near the head table in a sparkling dress, smiling wide for the few relatives who actually thought this family was happy. My sister flitted around like a queen, making sure every decoration was perfect. My father barked instructions about where the professional photographer should stand, his usual sharp tone softened only because people were watching. When they saw me, my mom froze for just a second, surprise flickering across her face before the fake smile snapped back in place. She walked toward me, arms half outstretched but stiff, like the gesture cost her something. "You made it!" she said, loud enough for others to hear, tone dripping with false warmth. "It means so much to us that you're here." I tilted my head, keeping my voice even. "Sure. Wouldn't want your perfect album to have a blank space where your unwanted kid should be." Her smile tightened. "Let's not start," she whispered sharply, eyes darting around to make sure no one heard. "Just be agreeable today. Agreeable. Like I was a mannequin, something they could pose to make their family look whole while pretending they hadn't thrown me away. I scanned the tables, cousins laughing, aunts sipping wine, old photos from years past laid out for everyone to see, pictures of my sister at every milestone, birthday parties, graduations, vacations. My face appeared rarely, and when it did, I was blurry in the background or cropped out, like I had been a ghost even when I lived under their roof. The photographer approached, cheerful and unaware of the tension. "Group photo time," he said, gesturing for everyone to gather. My mom ushered people into place, pulling my sister close to her side. When she turned to me, her voice dropped to a hiss. "Stand on the end. We don't want you ruining the center shot." Something inside me hardened. I walked to the middle instead, right between my parents. My mom's nails dug into my arm as she whispered, "Move." I looked straight ahead, my voice calm, but carrying enough for the people around to hear. "Funny. 3 years ago, you said the best gift I could give you was to disappear. Now you need me to make you look like a mother." A hush fell around us. My dad stiffened, his hand tightening into a fist at his side, but I kept going. Louder now. "This family album is a lie. You didn't want me in your life, remember? You only want my face so strangers won't see the truth. That this family only has room for one daughter, and it was never me." People shifted uncomfortably. The photographer froze, unsure what to do. My sister's cheeks flushed red with anger, but for once, she didn't have a comeback. My mom's smile cracked, the mask slipping just enough for everyone to glimpse the bitterness underneath. I stepped back from the group, my voice steady despite my racing heart. "You wanted me gone. You told me I was the problem. So I gave you what you wanted, and now you're asking me to fix the hole you dug in your own picture-perfect fantasy? No." Murmurs spread through the crowd. Relatives glanced at each other, whispers rising. My parents stood frozen, faces pale, knowing their carefully built image was crumbling in front of every person they wanted to impress. I didn't wait for their response. I picked up one of the empty frames meant for their memories, held it up for the photographer, and said, loud enough for the whole hall to hear, "Here's the truth. You wanted a family portrait? Frame this. Me walking away, exactly how you told me to 3 years ago." And with that, I turned and headed for the door, leaving them standing in the wreckage of their fake celebration. My heart pounded, but for the first time in years, I felt lighter. This wasn't the end, not yet. They'd wanted me erased, wanted my face only to polish their lie. But I had one final move planned that would make sure they could never pretend again. The album they wanted so badly would never be the perfect fairy tale they'd imagined. It would carry a truth they couldn't burn or bury, one that would haunt them every time they tried to smile for a camera. The week after the disastrous reunion, the family chat, which I'd been removed from years ago, suddenly exploded with messages I wasn't meant to see, but was copied on by a cousin who had been at the banquet. My mom was furious, claiming I'd humiliated her for no reason. My sister called me a jealous ghost, saying I had ruined their celebration. My dad ranted about how I had always been dramatic and lucky they let me show up at all. But one message stood out above all the noise. We can't let her ruin the album. We'll just Photoshop her in and pretend she was smiling. It was like a punch to the chest, and then something darker, sharper settled in. Even after everything, even after publicly humiliating them, they still didn't see me as a person, just a face they could paste in to fake the image of a happy family, a prop for their perfect lie. So I decided to give them an album they could never erase, never crop, never forget. I reached out to every relative, every family friend who'd whispered to me quietly over the years about how cruel my parents had been. Some of them were scared, some hesitant, but more than a few were willing to finally speak out. I collected their memories, their messages, their old photos of moments my parents had buried, pictures of me sitting alone in a corner on holidays while my sister unwrapped mountain-sized gifts, birthday dinners where they forgot to bring me a plate, school concerts where no one showed up for me. Then I took the photos my parents had carefully chosen for their grand album. Every one of them told a fake story of love and warmth, but now, each picture had a caption. Truthful, undeniable, written in their own handwriting from old notes, letters, or words they'd once spat at me. Beneath a family beach photo. We only brought you so people wouldn't ask questions. Under a Christmas shot, your sister gets the big gifts, you don't deserve them. And on the back of their cherished first day of school picture, wish we'd only had one kid. I had hundreds of these truth captions. I printed them into a heavy leather-bound album and mailed it to every guest who had been at that reunion banquet. I sent copies to the photographer they'd hired, to their neighbors, even to their church. Each person opened what they thought would be the glossy family masterpiece my parents were so proud of, and instead found a story of decades of cruelty, favoritism, and deliberate emotional scars. My parents couldn't escape it. Wherever they went, someone had seen the album. They couldn't deny the handwriting, couldn't explain away the old photos, couldn't pretend it was fake when people recognized their own words, their own actions. My mom's friends started asking pointed questions. My dad's coworkers looked at him differently. The image they'd spent 30 years building, the perfect, loving parents, was shattered, replaced with the truth they had tried to bury with me. Weeks later, I got a single text from my mom. No greeting, no excuses, just 4 words that said everything. You've ruined everything. I stared at the screen for a long time before replying, my hands steady, my heart finally quiet. No, Mom. You did. I just made sure everyone could see it. For the first time in my life, I felt free of them, not because they had pushed me out, but because I had shown the world exactly what kind of family I had been thrown out of. They told me the best gift was leaving their life, and I did. But now, every time they flip through that cursed album or see someone glance at them with pity, they'll remember that the daughter they erased left behind something they can never burn or fake, the truth. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching